Well, it's midnight, damn right, we're wound up too tight. I got a fist full of whiskey, the bottle just bit me. Oh, that shit makes me batshit crazy. We got no fear, no doubt, all in balls out. We're going out tonight, to get young every night, to get anything we want, take everything inside. We're going till the world stops turning while we burn it to the ground. We're screaming like demons, swinging from the ceiling. I got a fist full of 50s, tequila just hit me. Oh, we got no class, no taste, no shirt and shit face. We got lined up, shot down, firing back straight ground. We're going out tonight, to get young every night, take anything we want, take everything inside. We're going till the world stops turning while we burn it to the ground at night. Taking like a time bomb, drinking down the night's gone. Get your hands off of this glass, last call my ass. No chain, no lock, and this train won't stop. We got no friend, no doubt, all in Moses. We're down to the last couple of hours of 2024. And as we say goodbye to 2024, the same old stuff continues on Harmony and Chaos into 2025. Got a big night tonight. I can't think of a better way to spend New Year's Eve than inside the comforts of my own home and not being out with the rest of the crazies. Tonight we're going to review Reboot's episode 10 of Harmony and Chaos, and we are going to dive into Sonic 3, the movie. I'll give you my thoughts on what I thought of the movie, and we'll just talk about it. So, if you haven't seen Sonic 3, you're not going to want to watch the podcast after we discuss episode 10. But I digress. I got news on episode 102, as you guys have seen a few hours ago. I posted a little bit of a sneak peek. I just got back to work on it over the last couple of days. It's going to be banging. That's all I'm going to say about episode 102. But in any case, guys, I've lowered the drawbridge. I'm letting you guys into the castle. I'm getting ready to head down into the throne room to cover episode 10 and Sonic 3 the movie. Get your popcorn, get your drinks. It's going to be a long podcast, I have a feeling. See you guys in a few minutes.
Furry Pony and Moby and Hedgehog. Michael Evans here, the final podcast of 2024, final live stream. I want to wish everybody here, Purple Turtle, Brandon Henderson, Will Atkinson. Let's see who else we got here. And everybody else who's watching Plush. I want to wish everybody a happy 2025, happy New Year. I hope you guys had a great holidays, whether it was Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or whatever your holiday is. Hope you guys had safe and good tidings and season greetings and all that other good stuff. Santa Claus was really good this year for the family. I know my kids made out like bandits. That's for sure. I got myself a few things, including a PlayStation 5 and a couple of games for it, and some art and stuff. But other than that, I mean, it was a good Christmas. So as I said, tonight we're going to just review the latest episode of Harmony and Chaos, which was Reboot episode 10. I think I released that like 3 weeks ago. We're going to review that episode first, and then I just want to discuss Sonic 3, what I thought of the movie, maybe do a review, just to get you guys' overall thoughts of what you thought of the movie. So if you have not seen Sonic 3 and you don't want to be spoiled, I will let you know when we're going to get into the review of that. A lot happened in the Reboot episode. I'm going to try to go through it as quickly as possible so we can get into the movie, because I definitely want to get your guys' thoughts on the Sonic 3 movie, because I'm pretty sure most of you have seen it. Congratulations, Brandon Henderson, on getting accepted to George Mason University. Congratulations. I just started working on the next Reboot episode, Purple Turtle. I just started working on that one. Actually, ironically enough, last night, my computer has been working the last 2 or 3 days. So I've gotten a lot done. Today, I worked religiously on episode 102. And I made a pretty good dent in it. It's going to be, episode 102 is going to be a banger. Should come to no surprise. And I'm really getting into the good stuff with that episode now. So it was really hard. It's one of the reasons why I was kind of late starting this, because I was really getting into one of the scenes and I wanted to finish it before I went live. My computer did not break. Well, let me put you this way. My computer is 15 years old and it doesn't even work unless I plug it into a wall. And now it takes, like, I don't know, some days I can't even get it to turn on. It seems like I have to like plug it into the wall for like an hour and then like keep turning it on and off until it finally kicks on. So yeah, it's one of those things. I'm getting a new computer. I know that at some point, I'm going to have to. I'm just hoping I can keep this one alive long enough so I can move everything to a new computer, because I don't want to have to redo my whole library on this computer. Like all my music and all of my art and stuff that I use for the series. I don't want to lose all that. Yeah, I have thought about getting a new PC. But yeah. Will says, I know how that feels. So episode 10, I got to remember some of this stuff because it's been 3 weeks since I even saw the episode. So as you guys know, at the end of episode 9 of the reboot, the last thing we saw was Soren's death, Soren dying in the hospital. So episode 10 starts off with Rainbow Dash and all of the harnessers of Harmony, pretty much everybody who knew Soren was in Haven's Point for his memorial / funeral. So we start the episode and everybody just saying goodbye to Soren. It starts off with a preacher just kind of doing the usual preacher stuff, forgiving Soren for all of his sins, whatever. And then he gives like a little quick story about how he remembers Soren, and then all of the friends and family start to make their way up to say their final goodbyes. Things got a little emotional. We saw Spitfire get a little emotional. Obviously, Soren was one of her best Wonderbolt's longtime friend, so she was a little emotional, more emotional than we usually see Spitfire. Blaze the pony, not Blaze the cat, but the Wonderbolt Blaze. She had kind of like a brother, like a sibling-esque relationship with Soren. They were super close. So she kind of had an emotional goodbye. We see Sonic and Rainbow Dash. Sonic comforts Rainbow Dash, and Sonic, when he says his goodbyes to Soren, reiterates to Soren that he is going to take care of Rainbow Dash, and he can rest easy knowing that he's going to take care of Rainbow Dash for him and himself. Lastly, the big part of this scene was when Rainbow Dash went up and said her goodbyes. She shared a little bit of a story about how she met Soren, and she basically just broke down into tears. She wanted Soren to have like the best memory that she had of their relationship, and that was the day they got married. So she had placed a picture of their wedding day into Soren's casket. And after she did that, she broke down in tears. And the opening scene basically comes to an end with Rainbow Dash just breaking down and crying over Soren's casket. I'm not doing a 1 year hiatus, Brandon. I'm going to try not to. It depends on this computer because I couldn't get this thing to turn on because I was going to do this live stream minus the Sonic 3 part. I was going to do this live stream 2 weeks ago in front of the Christmas tree, like the Friday before Christmas. That was going to be when I was going to do this. And I tried for 2.5 hours to get the computer to turn on, and it never did. So I'm pretty lucky I got it going right now. I'm just waiting for my new computer to come in, and then I'm going to try to get like one of those portable SD cards and transfer all my files over. And then I'm going to have to I'll have to purchase Microsoft Office so I can continue doing the episodes. I just got to make sure I get all of my files moved over because I have dialogue, I have artwork and all kinds of stuff. And even episode 102 is like about a third of the way done. I have to move that over to a new computer if I don't finish it on this one. I just pray this computer holds up for about another month or so. So we come out of the opening credits and we go back to Ponyville. Manic really doesn't know the ponies that well yet. Obviously, he never knew Soren. So Manic has his tryout for the DJ Pone 3 band. So he goes to DJ Pone 3 studio to try out for the band. And he starts drumming out his drum solo, whatever. And as he puts so much heart into this tryout that his hip started to glow. And if you guys have watched My Little Pony, you know that when a pony's flank glows, we saw it with Rah Rah. That's pretty much when his cutie mark shined, as Purple Turtle said yes, because he was doing his talents to the best of his ability. So we saw it with Rah Rah in that one episode, the main attraction where she's singing, and I think it was The Magic Inside of You. That's when her cutie mark glows on stage. So I kind of tied that into Manic's moment here. The thing that's shocking about this is that it leaves it gives the notion to DJ Pone 3 that Manic could have a cutie mark. And DJ Pone 3 / Vinyl Scratch is her real name. She is so shocked by what she is witnessing, that she has no other choice but to accept Manic into the band. She's more blown away about like Manic's talent is shining, like his cutie mark. So she is in shock over that. And once Manic finishes his drum solo, she gives Manic, she takes off her glasses, like her sunglasses that she always wears, and she gives Manic a standing ovation. And immediately accepts him into the band. She says, I have no idea. She literally said, I have no idea what I witnessed, but I can tell you're a special talent. And she's like, she goes, when did you get a cutie mark? How is it possible that you could have a cutie mark? And Manic said, well, he doesn't want to really, he doesn't tell her per se what he wants to tell her, but he's like, cutie mark? What do you mean I have a cutie mark? Like, dude, no. I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, but this has happened since I was 10 years old. Manic tells DJ Pone 3, yeah, this kind of thing has been happening since I was 10. So, anytime I start drumming away, my hip blows. I don't know. Manic doesn't tell her because a couple of reasons. He knows what the truth of that would mean. And that, and he's kind of embarrassed by it. I mean, because think about it. Manic and Sonic would be the only hedgehogs on Mobius that have cutie marks. So he literally he's always been embarrassed by it, because as we would come to find out later on in the episode, when Manic sits down and tells Pinkie Pie about the tryout, he tells Pinkie Pie that he was picked on and bullied over his cutie mark. And everybody kind of called him Light Bright Butt, or they called him whatever names they called him, but he was picked on over it. And so he doesn't want to make a big deal about it. So of course, DJ Pone 3, seeing this, blown away, has really, aside from Manic's talent to begin with, seeing his hip light up, she knows that he's a special talent, and that she has to bring him on as the lead drummer. And as we would come to find out, Manic does sing a little bit as well. So so Manic winds up making the band. I'm trying to remember if we stay in Ponyville or if we jump back to Hoovesdale, or not Hoovesdale, Havens Point. So we go back to Havens Point, and the funeral for Soren is over. They're now at the banquet. So they're at Soren's memorial banquet, having lunch, and Twilight mentions that she wants to have a going away party for Rouge, and basically just does that quick head count around the table, see how many of the ponies want to go. Pretty much everybody accepts. Even Rarity, who's had some issues with Rouge, decides to accept. Another big thing that happens in this scene is that Rarity asks Spike to stay the night in Havens Point so they can talk about what had happened and with Silver, and so they can maybe try and have a romantic night and try to rekindle and reconnect with their own relationship. We will see what happens with that later on. It doesn't end very well. Spike in this scene tells Rarity, yeah, that would be great. I've got a lot I want to get off my chest about the Silver situation anyway. So yeah, I mean, why not? So after this scene concludes, we go back to Ponyville, and we go to Fluttershy's cottage. Oh, thank you, Purple Turtle. Purple Turtle says they like my Spike voice. Thank you. We go to Fluttershy's cottage. Tails and Amy are kind of just hanging out at the cottage, just chilling. And Silver knocks at the door, much to Tails' shock. He's like, "Oh, hey, what are you doing here, Silver?" And he's like, "Well, I was kind of hoping to see if Amy wanted to spend the afternoon with me." And Tails says, "Oh yeah, she's just chilling. She's watching TV." So Silver goes in, um, and he asked Amy kind of out. He asked her out on like an impromptu date. He's like, "I'm thinking about going to the beach today. Would you want to join me?" Amy, of course, accepts and says, "Yeah, that would be kind of cool. I need to get out of this rut I'm in anyway, so it would be kind of nice to go do something fun for once." Um, and she tells Silver, that, and Cream has gotten into fashion, so Cream kind of made me this bathing suit so I can go to the beach. She goes, "So yeah, going to the beach sounds fun." So Amy goes upstairs to go change into her bathing suit. That leaves Tails and Silver to have a little quick conversation. And Tails is kind of like, "Wow, Silver, I didn't know you had feelings for Amy like that." And he's like, "Well," he's like, if you guys remember Sonic '06, Amy and Silver, they kind of had like a moment where she thought, I don't understand why Amy thinks that every hedgehog is Sonic. I never understood that. She thought Shadow was Sonic, and then she thought Silver was Sonic. I don't know why every hedgehog to Amy is Sonic. So that always kind of baffled me. But they kind of had that moment, and yeah. So Silver tells Tails, he's like, I always go back in time to help you guys out, to preserve your timeline on Mobius. So he's like, and with Amy always kind of being, not being over Sonic and obsessing on Sonic, I never really thought to push anything with Amy during that time or to see if there was anything more than a friendship because she was with Sonic or she was trying to be with Sonic. And Tails is like, well, that's cool. She's like, I think Amy will actually have a good time with you, getting her out of here because it will get her mind off of Sonic. That'd be kind of cool. Um, so Amy comes back down in her bathing suit and she is ready to go to the beach with Silver. So they leave. Tails jokingly says, "Make sure she's home by sunset." Uh, Plush thinks it's funny that Amy that that Amy thinks that every hedgehog is Sonic. It is pretty funny. I never understood it, but you know. And the other thing is too is like we saw it with the Sonic 3 movie how pretty much throughout the whole series everybody kind of says that Shadow and Sonic look alike. Again, I don't know how they look alike. Shadow's black and red. Sonic is blue. How they look alike, I don't know. But that's kind of like the reason why I'm kind of like tying in this whole they could be possible brothers storyline. So, um, yeah, just because everybody kind of says that they look alike, but that's kind of like why I added that into Harmony and Chaos, that whole side angle of Shadow and Sonic possibly being brothers. I am alive, Solar. Yes. We I've been very busy with work. We had mandatory overtime the last 2 weeks of granted, I haven't worked since last Monday. So I go back Thursday. So tomorrow's my last day of vacation. And then my 9 days? Yeah, my 9-day vacation is over. But up until last Monday, we were doing mandatory overtime every day for 2 weeks straight. So I really haven't had a chance to work on any of this stuff. And by the time I got home, it was like, God, it's 7 o'clock. So it's like, man, it's 7 o'clock. I got to cook and get ready for bed and then go back to work. And so that's why I've been gone and off of Discord lately. So Silver and Amy go to the beach And I'm trying to remember sequential order.
Power off.
That's Lion God's favorite thing. Oh, man. I made good money, though. I mean, overtime at my work, I make decent money. So I've been pretty lucky. I've been, like I said, I've been off since last Monday, the 22nd. So to get 9 days off, I'm honestly ready to kind of go back, if I'm being honest, because I'm getting bored. I'm getting bored. And it's all paid for. So yeah, we got paid holiday pay for all this. So I'm trying to remember what the sequential order is of this. All right, so Amy and Silver go to the beach. We'll just kind of pick it up there. I think Rainbow Dash meets with her mother-in-law or ex-mother-in-law. I think Rainbow Dash and her mother-in-law have this moment where they talk about Soren, and Rainbow Dash lets it slip that Soren didn't have an affair and that he staged it. So she would leave Soren, never knowing about his illness. And of course, Soren's mother was shocked by it. She was shocked that her son lied to Rainbow Dash about it and staged an affair, basically. So Rainbow Dash would leave him. After that, we go to the beach where Silver and Amy are just relaxing and enjoying a nice day at Ponyville Beach. They start talking about the past, and Silver and Amy start talking about, the feelings that they maybe had for one another, but they never focused on it because of dealing with Metarex, dealing with Eggman, dealing with this, dealing with that, and all the other ventures that they've been on. So they kind of had a discussion about, is there something there now that you're not with Sonic? And Amy said, yeah. She goes, I wouldn't mind seeing if she agrees, basically to, yeah, let's maybe see if there is. Overall, Amy is very appreciative of Silver stepping in at the gala. Because if you remember, Amy was very much causing a scene at the Grand Galloping Gala when she was trying to interfere with Sonic and Rainbow Dash's relationship. And then she caused another scene after Soren collapsed. And Silver kind of talked some sense into her about, you got to move on from Sonic, because if you don't, you're going to ruin your friendship with him next. And is that what you really want? And she said, no, of course not. So Silver kind of is taking it on himself to get Amy out of the rut she's in with Sonic, and just checking up on her, making sure she's having fun and not sitting in heartache. So as the scene continues, they just discuss about why they never got together to begin with. And Silver says, look, I never thought it was a good time because you were so focused on Sonic. And I was busy traveling between my time and your time. I was so busy bouncing between the two timelines that I really could not focus on you. And Amy says, well, that's kind of a shame, she said, but she goes, well, why don't we go for a swim, and let's just have fun and go for a swim. So they go and they swim in the lake, and the next time we see Amy and Silver, they are getting back, they're getting back to Fluttershy's after the beach. And Amy once again tells Silver, reiterates that she had a really fun time at the beach. And she also tells him, if you would have told me how you felt or that you liked me, she goes, I probably would have gone back with you to the future, or, you could have stayed here. And Silver was like, well, I don't think that was ever a possibility because I had to go back to my timeline and live my life there. So Silver tells Amy that he needs to focus on getting a job, so he can take her out for dinner next time. That, and he's being, as you guys recall, Silver is getting kicked out of Twilight's castle thanks to Shadow breaking into the wine box and stealing Twilight's wine. So, yeah, that's still happening. Oh my gosh. Purple Turtle asks, how do you not have 1 million subs yet? Oh man. I know. I never expected to ever hit that number, but I would gladly take 1,000 subscribers by the end of next year. I had a very light goal of getting to 600 by the end of the year. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know. Like I tagged the series. I try to use MLP, Sonic tags, all that stuff. For a while, I was promoting the series on Twitter and Facebook, but I never really got the hits I wanted to on it. That, you guys know, Twitter is always an interesting, toxic place at times. So, I mean, dealing with the hate that you get, this is cringe, and it's like, I did not want to deal with that. And it's like, you know what? We'll grow the series just on YouTube, and yeah. Let's see. There was other comments that were up here. Brandon Henderson says his channel doesn't have the same MLP fandom and Sonic content as it should have. I mean, it does, but it's just harmony and chaos. You know, I would like to think that my series is a little bit more complex. You know, I watch a lot of Sonic MLP content. I do over the years. I have. Will Atkinson's another one who has a Sonic. And as a matter of fact, I will say right now, Will Atkinson is one of the original Sonic MLP crossover YouTubers. One of the originals. His series, I think, started right around maybe 6 months or a year before mine did. But I'm pretty sure he was, and I'll let him answer this, but I wonder if Will was inspired by the same stuff that I was, like the artwork. And, you know, there was a few other Sonic MLP crossovers, but they were like 1 minute videos or 6 minute videos. And it was like, these characters were in relationships like 2 minutes in. And it, like, it just nothing. Now, see, what inspired me with the series, as you guys know, is all the artwork. My daughter and I, at the time when I was married, not my daughter and I, when I was married to my ex-wife, my daughter and I were watching Sonic X and My Little Pony. And we were watching a lot of it like on the internet. So, of course, YouTube then starts recommending Sonic and MLP crossover content. And it was basically just a lot of PMVs, a lot of music videos that just had a bunch of artwork. So like art compilation videos with music. And I was like, you know what? That looks pretty cool. This stuff needs a story. I'm like, a lot of this art needs a story. So then I just developed it that way. The whole basis of Harmony and Chaos, as I've explained this before, is I wanted to make it different, where it was, you know, the hedgehogs, you know, the Mobians come from a planet where, you know, what we deem as animals are the intelligent life. So why not tie it in to, hey, the ponies came from Mobius too. They were, and it was just a matter of me developing the story of why they were banished. And you guys are going to see as these reboots go on, you'll start to get the history, because Twilight wants to start piecing it together. And you're going to see what leads to this. In the next Reboot episode, in Reboot episode 11, it comes out that Manic and Sonic have cutie marks. And that's when Twilight starts to say, wait a minute, what the hell is going on here? Like, how is it possible that Sonic and Manic have cutie marks? It's just not possible. That means that they would have to be part pony. So then, Twilight, how she gets into her Twilight modes. So you're going to see in the next reboot episode, like the story is going to really start to pick up. And then we start diving into the history. And then Princess Celestia and Luna, of course, are going to try to cover it up. They have been covering it up for thousands of years, the truth. And they are going to do everything. You'll see as the reboots go on. They try to stop Twilight from digging and digging and digging. So it's going to play a role for the rest of season 1 at least. But you'll start to see like what Soletta and Dark Swirl and how they play into it, and what really happened to get the ponies banished from Mobius. And it's all kind of conspiracy from Celestia, and that she tries her damnedest to cover it up. So, yeah, it's interesting. Season 1 starts to get interesting after this. So, yeah. But to go back, I thank you, Purple Turtle. Purple Turtle says I do deserve $1 million. Thank you. I'm humbled by it. I know there are a few of my viewers have said if Sonic and MLP ever becomes a real series, a lot of people said your series should be the one that does it because it's such an in-depth story. Like it's not just fighting Eggman, fighting that. These characters live a real life, and they're trying to live their lives while dealing with all this drama and stuff. I wanted to make it like a realistic series where we kind of dive into their real life, plus what they deal with in trying to protect Equestria. So I always have said this to you guys. I never do things just to do them. Every little detail that I put into this series, it may not happen right then and there, but I always make sure it's pieced properly together. And it just gradually builds, like we're going to see with this cutie mark, with the hedgehogs having cutie marks. Will Atkinson, I remember I had 2,000 subs until I had the troll problem. Yeah. I watched every single one of Will Atkinson's episodes. As a matter of fact, he's actually rebooting his original series. So by all means, if you guys were subscribers to Will, please subscribe to him, because he is redoing his Sonic and MLP series. And I will say season 2 for that series is insane. It's insane. Solaria agrees with me. She behates Twitter as well. Yeah, I still go on Twitter very rarely. If I follow my wrestling podcaster there, and it seems like every time I comment on wrestling, I get hate. So I don't need to deal with it. So I try to stay off there. Yeah, I know Elon's trying to bust people, Michael Collins. I know Elon's trying to crack down on people being toxic. I will check Discord later briefly, Solar, because after this live stream, I want to hang out, and by the time this live stream ends, the fireworks are going to be going off out here. Well, it's 9:47 right now, so we got 2 more hours. I've got 2 more hours before 2025. Ophelia says, I hate you, Solar. Also, Shadow, I have your favorite plushie. No. Burn it. Burn that fake Shadow in a fire of hell, Solar. Yes. Brandon Henderson says, your audio drama is complex, but you need to share it with popular MLP fandom sharers like MuseScript. Yeah, I heard of MuseScript. I mean, the thing about it is, like, you look at what Crossbreak Studios has done. Crossbreak Studios with their episode that they came out with like earlier in the year of 2024, that with the amount of work that they're putting into Sonic Quest for Harmony is insane. And I don't know how many people, fans of that series, are going to watch this podcast, but please, please, please be patient with those people, because they're animating it. They're doing specific artwork for that series. They're voice acting it. They're putting a lot of work into that series. So please, Crossbreak Studios is killing it with just one episode. But again, it's very different from my series as far as how they produce it. I did see some of the coming attractions for their next episode, and it's very eerily similar to Harmony and Chaos where they're going with this. But I don't know. I'm excited for their next episode. I can't wait till it comes out. But yeah, I digress. Purple Turtle says, your series kind of looks like a book, and that's exactly what it started off as, Purple Turtle. It did start off as just like your average Sonic MLP crossover, where I put everything on those slides and I timed them out. I tried to time them out, and you guys would literally just read them on your own. The series was really struggling back then. I think after 3 years, I only had 30 subscribers, because who wants to read a 45-minute episode? For those of you who have been with me pretty much from day one, you guys know what happened with episode 48, which caused me to voice dub that episode. It was the very first episode I ever voice dubbed, and I did it by myself. And that is what led the series to get redone. I wound up going back and redoing all of my original episodes, voicing all of those over, and erasing the originals, like the read-alongs. I erased all the read-alongs. So then I just went back and revoiced all the read-alongs. Some of you, if you guys have been with me from day one, you guys remember Cinco de Mayo of 2018 is when Harmony and Chaos became a voice dub, because I couldn't get the episode to convert to video. So then I just said, screw it. I'm just going to record the episode on my phone, and I'm going to voice it. So episode 48 of Harmony and Chaos was the first voice dubbed episode. And then after that, I had to go back and redo it. And now I'm redoing it again with better quality. So, yeah. I'm trying to get my VAs to do more of the reboots. I know it's a big ask, because, the main episodes alone, you guys see how much work it takes to do just the current new episodes. Some of the new episodes are like 70, 80 minutes long. So to ask my VAs to do the reboots is not an easy thing. So getting everybody together to do it, that's, and finding time to do it is the other thing. I do want to include my VAs more on these reboots. I do. Will Atkins says that got me inspired to make my own series. Hold on. Will, are you saying it was my series that inspired you to do to do your series? Because I thought your series was before mine. Maybe I'm wrong. I always thought your series was out before mine. I know they came out roughly around the same time. Wow, I missed a lot of the chat. Brandon says, which MLP comic story arc will you add in Harmony and Chaos? Well, I'm going to tell you, I honestly have not kept up with the season 10 comics. I have not. I am going to add season 8 and season 9 to Harmony and Chaos. And then I'm going to do what I was doing on Twilight's Kingdom. I don't know how many of you guys watched Twilight's Kingdom on my channel, but that was my secondary series, which was the spinoff or continuation to Friendship is Magic. It doesn't have any of the Sonic characters. I did about 8 episodes of it, and then I stopped because I wanted to focus more on Harmony and Chaos. But I'm gonna bring Twilight's Kingdom over to Harmony and Chaos and actually finish what I was trying to do with Twilight's Kingdom as well, at least for season 1. Brandon Henderson asked, will Heartbreaker, aka Evil Cadence, be canon? No. Purple Turtle asks, is Shad Twy a thing in your series? I don't know if I want to spoil it, Purple Turtle. But yes, to answer your question, yes. Shad Twy is a power couple in my series, to be honest. Yes, I love my Twilight. We started off rough, though, didn't we, Twilight? Yeah, I'll say. You lived to torment me. Recklaw says, 2025, we back at it. Hell yeah, we are, Walker. Well, Purple Turtle also says, you put in details so the series makes sense. Yeah, and that's pretty much what I do. I try to spin the details. Like I said, this is I kind of consider this like an alternate universe. So certain things get twisted in different ways. I always try to tie it in a realistic way. And I work really, really hard to make everything make sense. I try not to leave any holes and plots and stuff like that. So and before I started writing the series, I planned it out for a good 2 or 3 months as to what I wanted for seasons. The funny thing is the more I write this series, the longer the series gets, because it's like I keep coming up with ideas that are, you guys give me some good ideas as well. So that, or like Will Atkinson gave me the idea for Nightshade, his own OC, Prince William, and Fidget. I got the ideas for the Marker Herc from him. And we kind of worked on it together, and we were able to spin it into this great story that we got with those characters. Also, you guys saw with Solar's OCs, Felia and Bonnet coming into the series. I know I love Felia. Felia's tremendous. She is like one of my favorite. She's, if not the favorite character to write, she's one of my top characters to write, because I don't have to censor anything with Felia. And she's just funny. Do I think Fluttershy has autism? I don't think so. I don't know. I just think she's very shy. I've never remember Fluttershy kind of like over analyzing things. I don't remember her kind of having the autistic traits where they're like overly focused and driven on certain things. She's definitely, I think she has social anxiety, definitely. She has a hard time talking to acquaintances, whatever. I definitely think she does suffer from social anxiety, though. She does. I think Fluttershy suffers more from anxiety than anything. Let's see. Wow. Some of you guys still have a ways to go before 2025. Solar says, I'm never burning the blue shadow. Oh, I'll stop you. All right. Michael Collins says, I think that even though Elon isn't perfect, he is genuinely trying to fix Twitter, as I tried Blue Sky and I couldn't stand it. Yeah, I heard some bad things about Blue Sky as well. I know a lot of wrestling podcasters are on Blue Sky. Yeah, I'm not, no. Yeah, Elon, Elon's trying to crack down on all that, like cyberbullying and censorship and all that other stuff, which I think is a good thing because nobody should be censored or silenced for their beliefs, whatever they may be. If you do put it out on in your opinions on public spaces, you're going to face your share of criticism, which I've had my share of criticism on this series. So it took me a while, but I've taken criticisms to heart, and I've attempted to make some of the changes to the series that I was being criticized for, like some of the over romantic stuff that was going on. But I'm trying to write a lot of the romance out of it. With the newer episodes. Will Atkinson is trying to make a new series called Sonic Meets Ruby. If you've seen the Ruby series, Plush has seen it for sure. Daybreaker will not return in Harmony and Chaos. I use Daybreaker as Soletta because I wanted Soletta to have some sort of resemblance to Celestia. So instead of using Daybreaker as Daybreaker, I used her as Soletta, which I don't regret it, but that and Daybreaker looks a lot like Dark Swirl, just opposite. So let's see. Am I going to be in Harmony and Chaos? No. That's funny. Well, I technically am. I voice like 45-50% of the characters. I guess so. Technically, I am in it. But no, me personally will never be in. Me as an OC will not be in Harmony and Chaos. I don't even have an OC of myself. So no. I'm trying to remember where we were. So after the beach scene, we go to Twilight's castle. And this is where things get a little interesting because you have Shadow and Rouge at the castle alone with nobody else there because everybody who lives with Twilight is at the funeral for Soren. So, and Silver's at the beach. Obviously, Silver went and left the castle to spend the day with Amy. So Shadow and Rouge kind of have this moment now where they can be alone and share a dinner together. Shockingly, we come to find out that on Mobius, Rouge and Shadow were in a tryst, a fling, a friendship with benefits. Rouge always kind of thought it was a relationship, but she was wrong. After Starlight left Mobius, after Eggman captured her and she used her magic to disappear from Mobius, as you recall from episode 4, Shadow went to Sonic to storm Eggman's Egg Destroyer for help to try to get Starlight back. Eggman lied to Shadow that he killed Starlight. So pretty much after Starlight left Mobius, Shadow kind of had a void, and he went through a very depressing phase of his life. And Rouge was the one there to kind of pick him up and be there for him. She was there for him for 4 years. So Rouge and Shadow kind of had this romantic relationship, a tryst, if you will, for 4 years. And Rouge always thought that her and Shadow were together. And she tells Shadow, Shadow tells Rouge, I don't know where Silver is, but it looks like it's just us for dinner tonight, Rouge. And Rouge says, this is a pretty dangerous preposition here. She said, because it's going to bring back all these memories of us being together. And lo and behold, They start having dinner together, and Rouge again says, "Look, I was in love with you, Shadow, and I don't care about Starlight. I don't give a damn about Starlight. I am in love with you, and I want to be with you, and I want you to leave Starlight. Like, we were together before you came to this, before we came to Equestria. You and I were together, and then all of a sudden you find out Starlight is alive." And Shadow's like, "Look, you don't understand, Rouge. Starlight and I had a connection right away, and she saved my life." If you guys remember from episode 4, Shadow and Sonic were. This is when Shadow was still kind of working for Eggman. Him and Sonic kind of got into a fight, a tussle, and Eggman had blown up a mountain, and all these humongous boulders came like crashing down onto Shadow. So Eggman just left Shadow for dead, and Starlight was the one who healed him. So that was a rehash of their backstory. So Shadow reiterates to Rouge, like, "I owe her my life. So, of course, I fell in love with her." And he's like, "That's why I went back to her when she found me here in Equestria. So I ran back to her right away because she had saved my life, Rouge. What was I supposed to do?" And Rouge is like, "Well, she goes, we were together the last 4 years, so you're just going to throw me away and forget everything that you and I meant to each other." So Rouge winds up getting pretty much heartbroken here because she feels like her and Shadow should still be together. Purple Turtle is confused. Let's see. So go in the reboots of episode. So episode 4 reboot, you get the backstory of Shadow and Starlight about how they got romantically involved and how Starlight traveled to Mobius because she was having dreams of Shadow. So she was having vivid dreams about Mobius and Shadow in general. So when she found Shadow, that made her want to travel to Mobius because Starlight has the ability to open portals in time. So she was able to use Star Swirl spell to travel to Mobius, essentially. Purple Turtle, I don't want to spoil that. You'll have to continue watching. I don't want to spoil it 100%. But I will tell you right now, Shad Twy is a beautiful, beautiful love story. And you'll see as season 1 progresses, you'll see how it plays out. You'll see. I don't want to ruin it if you're watching all the reboots. I don't. You will get emotionally connected to him, though, definitely. Michael Collins says, "I don't think what Shadow did was fair to Rouge," and this is from someone who saw the OG video. Yeah, I don't think so either. I like Rouge as a character. Solar is joking around as Philia. "I will take Rouge, big bro." Of course you'll take Rouge, Philia. So, no, I think I'm trying to remember how Shadow explained it to her. It's just, I thought she was dead. But essentially, like, Starlight was Shadow's savior, essentially. Like, she changed Shadow completely from being, like, bad to good. I'm not saying completely, but her saving his life changed him forever. Philia thinks Rouge is hot. You can see why I love Philia so much. Her personality is nuts. Oh, man. You're unhinged, Philia. Yes, I agree with Michael. You're unhinged. Just wait till to see that scene you got in episode 102. My sister goes off. She goes off, man. It's awesome. So Rouge is just very heartbroken. She doesn't understand how Shadow could just throw it all away and not care. And she asked, like, literally, "Did I not mean anything to you more than just being a friend with benefits? Like, And Shadow says, look, I had feelings for you. He's like, but I can't, now that I'm with Starlight, I can't just, I can't throw away what I had with Starlight. Because if you think about it, what Shadow and Starlight had was taken from them. Granted, it was Starlight's choice to go back to Equestria. And we actually see how that plays into Starlight going off and attacking Equestria. I tie it into that. I wind up tying in Starlight leaving Mobius into what she did in season 5. Yeah, I know. Ophelia does not like Starlight. So the scene comes to an end with Rouge and Shadow basically just coming to an understanding. Rouge tells Shadow, it's probably for the best anyway, because I'm leaving in a couple days to become a Wonderbolt. So it's not going to matter. I got to go find the Chaos Emeralds. I'm tasked with that. So, it's probably for the best anyway. Michael Collins says, I'm surprised you didn't do what 90% of bronies did and just establish an Equestria where polygamy is illegal. Yeah, well, I'm different. But did they actually say that in the actual My Little Pony series? Brandon Henderson said, Starlight shouldn't be an alicorn because it wouldn't make any sense. What would she represent anyway? Funny you mentioned that there, Brandon. Because in my opinion, I think with Twilight becoming, if you're going to go back to canon MLP, now again, if you have not watched my series, Twilight's Kingdom, it's a playlist. Please, Brandon, watch the very first episode of my. I don't do that series anymore, but I'm gonna tie Twilight's Kingdom into Harmony and Chaos. So at least give the first episode a shot, and you'll see like how I turn Starlight into an alicorn. So when Twilight becomes the ruler of Equestria, I decided, you know what? Starlight has pretty much been doing Twilight's role as the Princess of Friendship since Twilight was the Princess of Friendship and now she's the ruler of Equestria. I tied it in as Starlight becomes the Princess of Friendship because she's running the School of Friendship for Twilight. It only makes sense. So that's where I think MLP would have gone eventually. I think with Twilight becoming the ruler of Equestria in canon MLP, I think eventually Twilight was grooming Starlight to become the Princess of Friendship, in my opinion. And she's already running the School of Friendship. So to me, it would only make sense that Starlight would become the Princess of Friendship. That's what I think. But we never got that far with MLP. Sorry, guys. Happy New Year, Lion God. I hope you have a safe one. God, I gotta get another drink. I'm glad I got my voice back because about a week ago I had zero voice. Zero. Ophelia says, Twilight and Dash both want me. I can take them from Shadow and Sonic real quick. Trust. Yeah. Whatever, Ophelia. And I can still bonnet very quick. That's an inside joke on Discord. So, yeah. Funny. I'm not getting into it now with Ophelia. I built you a motorcycle, Shadow. Yes, and I love riding it. Thank you. Any case, so after Rouge and Shadow have their dinner, we go back to, actually, we stay in Ponyville, and then because Pinkie Pie comes home from Havens Point, as does Fluttershy. So Pinkie Pie stops through the bakery. Mrs. Cake gives her a shepherd's pie and gives her some donuts for dinner for her and Manic, whatever was left over. She thanks Mrs. Cake for the food. And then she goes inside into her apartment to go be with Manic. And she asks Manic how his audition went. And this is when Manic tells Pinkie Pie, oh, yeah, the audition went great, kid. Like, I knocked it out of the park. So much so that my hips started glowing. And Pinkie's like, whoa, wait, what? What do you mean your hips started glowing? He's like, yeah, like kind of like about that. Somehow, some way, Manic winds up telling Pinkie Pie that his father, Jules the Hedgehog, had told them stories about the race of ponies that once lived on Mobius, and that how their family married into the royal pony family. Because if you guys remember Sonic's family, Sonic came from a royal family. Sonic, Manic, and Sonia all came from a royal family. If you're going to go back to like Sonic Underground, like in the early 90s. So that's the tie in there. Manic had told Pinkie, my family was we were the royal family of hedgehogs, like 40,000, like thousands of years ago. And he's like, my ancestors wound up marrying the royal family that was the rulers of the Equestrian Empire. And Manic also told Pinkie that as the generations moved down, even though it was like 30, 35, 40,000 years, the bloodline continued. The pony heritage never left the hedgehogs. And Manic even told Pinkie, like, yeah, like my family, they gave birth to like hedgehogs, some were ponies, but we all shared the same bloodline. And he said one of the things we all had in common, whether we were hedgehogs or ponies, on my father's side, they all had cutie marks, all of them. So that's why Manic and Sonic, and then we would later find out Sonia would have cutie marks, because of the heritage that got passed down from countless millennia, from Sonic and Manic's ancestors marrying into Soletta's family and Dark Swirl's family. So I don't want to spoil it too much for those of you who are actually following the reboots. I kind of want you guys to get the gist of it in that sense. So, Pinkie Pie is shocked by this. And she says, oh my God. She goes, this changes like everything that we learned as ponies. She goes, we have to tell Twilight. And Manic's like, no, you have to promise me right now, Pinkie, you're not going to tell any pony. I don't want this to start a panic. And I'm embarrassed by having a cutie mark. I was always picked on for having a cutie mark. And Pinkie Pie immediately feels empathy for Manic. And she goes, I'm sorry that you were bullied for having a cutie mark. She said, but here in Equestria, cutie marks get celebrated. Like it's a big deal. And Manic said, look, he's like, I don't want to cause this panic and I don't want anybody to know about it. And then Pinkie shoots back and says, well, Manic, you got to perform. She goes, you're going to start performing on stage. Your cutie mark's going to become very, very public. And Manic is just kind of like, yeah, whatever, kid. No, I don't want people to know. And Pinkie does a Pinkie. And by the end of this conversation, Pinkie does a Pinkie promise. And you guys know about pinky promises. Pinky never breaks one. Obviously, it's her own code. So Pinkie Pie's not going to go back and break a pinky promise. So she promises Manic that she won't tell anybody about his secret. So they wind up. She congratulates Manic for making the band. She's very happy. She's very happy for him in that regard. And they just share dinner together. So the scene ends with this big shocking reveal of Manic and Sonic's family coming from the Pony bloodline. Because again, Sonic's family, the royal Hedgehog family, wound up marrying into the Equestrian Empire's royal family, which was Soletta and Dark Swirl and all that other stuff. So after that scene, we go back to Haven's Point. And Spike, I got an itch on my foot. We go back to Haven's Point where Rarity and Spike are having their, they're having their date night, and they're kind of like, we need to reconnect. And this scene goes so terribly the other direction. And I cannot blame Spike one way or I cannot blame Spike for feeling the way he feels here. And it honestly, this goes to another tie-in back to the original MLP series. I always felt like I was one of those Spike and Rarity shippers, where I always felt like Spike and Rarity should have been together at some point in that series. But it always kind of came off at times that Rarity was always very hesitant. And I don't know if it was because Spike was a dragon, if it was the age difference, what it was. But she always had this way of kind of stringing Spike along. And to me, it always felt like she strung Spike along to kind of just get what she wanted out of him, like help, a friendship. I always felt like that was the ultimate, like, fate. Even though by season 8 and season 9, Rarity does kiss Spike at some point. I think it was one of the Christmas episodes where she kisses Spike on the cheek. See, Michael Collins also felt the same way. And that's how I felt, Michael. I felt how you feel. Like I don't think it's as bad of a word as manipulated Spike. I think she kind of just used his feelings to just kind of get what she wanted out of him. Like, oh, help me, Spike. But I think at the end of season 8, they did this Heartswing special where she honestly did kind of start to see that maybe Spike was maybe more than a friend, and she kisses him on the cheek. But they never pushed it any further than that, which I never understood why. As far as season 9 goes. I do know from I had met M.A. Larson. I had met M.A. Larson at a convention, MLP convention. And I remember that he flat out said that if he was writing the season 9, if he was writing the MLP series finale, he would have had Rarity and Spike get married as the finale of the series. That's what he said. That M.A. Larson literally said that he would have written Spike and Rarity getting married as the final episode of MLP. That's what he would have done. But that's not the way the writers went collectively in season 9. So, yeah. Michael says, I did not like Rarity's behavior in season 1 finale, as she was too much of a gold digger, but that was just me. I do agree. Yeah, because she seemed way more into like the rich hoity-toity stallions that she was going after. And then the funny thing was those rich guys didn't want anything to do with her, which was hilarious. So I'm going to have to step away and get another drink here. So we left off with we're in the scene with Spike and Rarity. And Rarity tells Spike, "Thank you for a lovely evening, Spike. I really felt like we've reconnected, and and this was a very good night for us." And Spike's like, "Yeah, it was, and it's what makes what I have to tell you a lot harder." And Rarity already kind of knows where Spike is going to go with this. And Spike says, "I think it's in the best interest if you and I break up, Rarity, because obviously Silver is the guy you want, because it took me 6 years to get a kiss from you when it only took Silver a couple of hours. So in just a few hours, Silver got as far as you, or he got as far with you as I did in a couple of hours as I did in 6 years." So Spike is feeling very insignificant, like all of his feelings doesn't matter, and everything that they built towards is meaningless to Rarity. So he breaks up with her, and Rarity comes back and says, "Look, Spike, darling, I think the one thing the gap that separates us, I feel, is time." She says, "Darling, we don't spend time together, and Spike's like, "Well, that's partly your fault." He's like, "I was the one making the effort this entire month or 3 weeks we were together. You were so busy working on the gala stuff that you didn't even make an attempt to come see me. I was the one making the effort." And he says, at the end of the day, you just made me feel insignificant because, you always had reservations about dating a dragon. How many times did you make me feel insignificant? And then again, it took Silver 3 hours to get a kiss with you, and it took me 6 years. So Rarity says, "Spike, that's the fact that we don't see each other. She goes, we have to close the gap that separates us, which is distance and not having enough time together." And then this is when she says, "I think you should move in with me." And Spike's like, "Move in with you?" He's like, "What do you mean move in with you? I'm not moving in with you. After what you did with Silver, I can't, I'm not ready for that." So this whole dramatic scene plays out. Ultimately, Spike says, "Look, I know Silver is the Prince Charming that you've always wanted to be with. He's handsome, he's sweet, he's chivalrous, he's charming. That's the guy you've been waiting for this whole time." Let's see. I'm not ignoring you, Brandon. I'm getting back. I'm trying to scroll through. The chat's moving pretty quick, so I'm trying to scroll back. Brandon says Rarity is a failure with romance because she's too infatuated with the idea of dating a handsome stallion and their looks. That's exactly what I was going, and that's where Spike goes with this argument as well. He literally says, he's everything that you've ever wanted, Rarity. He's charming, handsome, sweet, powerful. You get the perfect Prince Charming. And Spike tells her, "Look, this was always my fear that I would be replaced by somebody else when somebody else better comes along." And he's like, "And come on, Rarity, you've always had these reservations about being with me to begin with. So there you go." Ophelia saying, "Yeah, you tell her, flamethrower." "Yeah, you're damn right. I am a flamethrower. But I'm only yours and Shadow's flamethrower. Nobody else gets to use me as a flamethrower besides you and Shadow, Ophelia. You guys are exclusive. It's it." Well, okay. That's wait, that's a lie. I mean, the furry cat, the charming cat Capper, he used me as a flamethrower too. So, I can't just say you and Shadow are the only ones who've used me as a flamethrower. Capper kind of did too. So, you're gonna have to talk to Capper on that one there, Ophelia. But in Capper's defense, that was before you guys got here. That was before all the Mobians got here. Michael Collins said, "Wait, in the OG, didn't Spike bring up that Rarity was too fixated on her image That was part of the problem. Yes. Yes. And honestly, even in Brandon was saying, even in Canon MLP, Rarity had this group of guys that she was just fixated. She was just fixated on the wealthy ponies. If not the wealthy, then the very handsome. So Spike winds up breaking up with Rarity and says, look, when you love someone, you have to let them go sometimes, is basically what he tells Rarity. And he even tells Rarity, look, if you don't give Silver a chance, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life, and you're going to resent me. So I'm ending something that's not going to work. And Spike leaves. Rarity apologizes to him before he leaves. And as Spike is walking down the hallway, he could hear Rarity crying in her hotel room. And he kind of hesitates, and he's like, no, just keep walking, Spike. And we see Spike is crying as well because he didn't want Rarity to see his tears. So Spike boards the train. He boards a train back to Ponyville, and then makes his way back to Ponyville. Brandon Henderson, will Rarity and Capper have kids? I'm not sure yet, to be honest with you. I haven't really incorporated Capper yet as much as I'd like to. That will change when I incorporate the Twilight's Kingdom aspect into Harmony and Chaos. Because I think I'm going to tie Capper into politics. And you'll see what happens with Capper. For those of you who watched Twilight's Kingdom, you guys know that Capper was the governor of South Equestria. So, again, I'm going to tie Twilight's Kingdom into Harmony and Chaos. So we're going to see Capper kind of dives into politics at some point or another. So I haven't really given it much thought as to Rarity. But see, in Twilight's Kingdom, Rarity and Spike are a couple. Obviously, that's not going to happen. That part of Twilight's Kingdom is going to change. But Capper is going to eventually dive into politics. So if you watch Twilight's Kingdom or haven't, I'm going to tie that series into Harmony and Chaos. I mean, for the 8 episodes that I did, it was pretty good. I know Solar has watched pretty much most of those episodes. Again, it's a continuation of MLP Friendship is Magic. It was, that was me continuing the series. It ties in. It's actually what was supposed to be Twilight's Kingdom was Twilight becomes the ruler of Equestria, and it's the time in between she becomes the ruler and the time of the series finale of MLP. So it was actually supposed to fill in all of the blanks. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a bad I didn't think, like I said, I didn't have time to write 2 series, so that's why I gave up on it. I wanted to focus more on Harmony and Chaos. So that's why I stopped writing it. So Spike gets back on the train to Ponyville, and we go to Rainbow Dash's Cloud Dominion. This is still the same night. Rainbow Dash and Sonic return to the Cloud Dominion from the funeral. And Rainbow Dash, it's about 2:30 in the morning, I think I wrote down. I think that's what I put in the series. It's like 2 or 2:30 in the morning. Regardless, it's in the middle of the night. Rainbow Dash can't sleep. She's thinking about Soren. She's got a lot of other things on her mind as it pertains to Soren. Rainbow Dash decides to get out of bed. She gets a glass of hard cider, and then she decides to go sit out by her hot tub outside. So she goes and kind of sticks her hooves in the water and just is kind of sitting there and gazing up at the stars, just thinking about everything, putting everything into perspective. And then we see Sonic come out. Oh, man. What jokes? Oh, God. Philia, Philia, seriously? You didn't know I had a hot tub? Oh, my God, dude. I brought it up like 50 times. Yes, I have. How did you not know this? Of course you don't listen. Ugh. Oh my God. Why are we having a conversation on a... We're not talking about this right now. Anyway. Now we're getting into Discord stuff. Oh my God. Boo. Yeah, we'll talk about this later, Philia. Well, they don't know about Cloud9. Thank gosh. Thank Celestia they don't know about Cloud9. I love Cloud9, by the way. Everybody loves Cloud9, Sonic. Anyway, Michael, continue. All right, thanks, Rainbow Dash. Thank you. Anyway, so so Sonic comes out to join Rainbow Dash, and he asks, "Have an issue sleeping, huh? Thinking about Soren?" He's like, "Yeah." She goes, "I'm thinking more about his lies than him." And he's like, "Oh, well, why? How so?" And she tells Sonic, she goes, if you really want to think about it, Sonic, she goes, and I don't mean anything bad by this, but like, if you think about it, if it wasn't for Soren's lies, like you and I wouldn't be together. I would have stayed with him and would have like been there for him as his wife to like nurse him and take care of him and stuff like that. And Sonic says, yeah, he's like, I get it. And he's like, look, he's like, I think you're overthinking that, Dash. He's like, you got to think about it from this perspective as well. He's like, I can see why that's kept you up. He's like, but think about the Metarex and how they played a role in this. He's like, if the Metarex hadn't destroyed Mobius, you know, I wouldn't even, me and the Team Sonic, none of us would even be here right now if it wasn't for the Metarex destroying Mobius and us being forced to use chaos control to get here. And Dash is like, yeah, you make a good point, Sonic. And she goes, you know, this whole thing is crazy between us. Like, how is a hedgehog and a pony even possible? We're not even the same species. And this is where we see now Sonic acknowledge that he has a cutie mark. Because during this conversation, Rainbow Dash is having second thoughts. She's not having second thoughts. She's just questioning how a hedgehog and a pony could be together when they're not even the same species. Yeah, that's right, Michael. We're not even from the same planet. Or so you think. Well, yeah, or so we think. Hey, wait, what do you mean by that? We'll continue on with the reboots. Anyway, so Sonic in this moment tells Rainbow Dash, look, as far as a pony and a hedgehog being together, I know we'll work out just fine. And as Sonic says this, he's kind of like glancing down at his hip and he's kind of like rubbing and touching his hip like, yeah, I think things are going to be fine. So Sonic already knows that it's possible, obviously, because the ponies are Mobians in Harmony and Chaos. So with the ponies being Mobians, yeah, they can, you know, so Sonic already knows that everything's going to work out just fine between them as a when it comes to that aspect of their relationship. Michael Collins said, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Dash is the GOAT in this series. I know she will like that compliment. Thanks, dude. Yeah, Michael Collins, you already know, bro. You already know. You know how I roll, dude. Brandon Anderson says, bah. Aw, thanks, Philia. You're making me blush. Stop it. Oh boy. Wow, Ophelia. Wow, sus. Stop. Ugh, Jesus, Ophelia. You're a simp. You're such a dashy simp, Feels. Come on. Yeah, right. That's never going to happen. Ophelia says that I can take you from your mans. That's never going to happen. Anyway. So for the rest of the scene, Sonic basically tells Rainbow Dash everything's going to work out fine. The symbolism here is when Sonic is kind of glancing down at his hip, acknowledging his cutie mark, and he's doing that as he's telling Rainbow Dash that he knows a pony and a hedgehog are going to work out fine, obviously. So after this scene concludes, Rainbow Dash and Sonic kind of have a romantic moment. They kiss. Sonic drags Rainbow Dash into the hot tub, and they're just cuddling, whatnot. And she goes, "Wait a second, I thought you hated being submerged in water, Hedgie." He's like, "Nah." He's like, "I don't have to know how to swim in a hot tub." He's like, "Besides, I kind of like the hot tub." So anyway, I'm laughing at Philia's comments. Oh, man. So we end this scene, and it's the next day. We go to the next day, and we start the day with at Twilight's castle. Starlight asks Twilight, "So what's your plan? So what's your plan for the day? How are you going to get Rouge out of the castle so we can start setting up for the going away party?" Twilight says, "Look, I have this whole list of things to do, and trust me, everything's going to work out fine. You guys will have plenty of time." And Starlight's like, "You planned the whole day that you're going to be out with Rouge. You planned it to a T." She goes, "How do you tolerate me as a pupil when I don't even plan my days out like that?" Twilight says, "Well, every pony's different." She goes, "I can't operate without my list. I'm so busy." Um, anyway, so I'm getting distracted by Philia. Anyway, so Twilight tells Starlight, "I've got this whole day planned. You guys will have plenty of time to set up for the party and yada yada." At this time, Spike also is making his way back into Ponyville after his long nights of travels. Like another itch on my foot. Ay. Anyway, so Spike stops off at Sugar Cube Corner because he needs a coffee. Desperately needs a coffee. Pinkie Pie says, "Wow, you look like crap. Do you like..." She goes, "I thought you were spending the night in Havens Point with Rarity." He's like, "No, I broke up with Rarity." And Pinkie's like, she gives him a big hug and says, "I'm sorry." She goes, "Is it over this whole silver thing?" And Spike said, "Yeah, sadly it is." She said, and Spike's like, "It's not just about that. It's like she's always had reservations about being with me anyway. So, I did her a solid and just left her, And then Manic comes out and is off and goes. He goes to the rehearsal for his band. He sympathizes with Spike. Before leaving, Manic simply tells Pinkie Pie, "I'm not really sure if I'm going to meet you here and then go to the party with you, or if I'm just going to meet you at the party, kid. I don't know how long rehearsals is going to last." So Pinkie's like, "Well, if you're not here, I'll just meet you at the castle at Rouge's party then." So after the scene concludes, Spike heads back to Twilight's castle. He asked Twilight if he could help out, and when Spike gets back to the castle, that's when he tells Twilight and Starlight that both he and Rarity broke up, and he doesn't want to go take a nap. He wants to just help and try to keep himself distracted. As the day progresses, we start to learn a little bit more about Rouge and her relationship with Shadow. During their girls' day, when Twilight has her out, Rouge tells Twilight about her full history with Shadow, and about how it ended, and how Shadow broke her heart the night before while they were in Havens Point. I feel like I'm missing something before that. Oh yeah. It was not really important, but there was a Sweet Apple Acre scene where, literally it's just Applejack, making pies, for the party. Not a whole lot there that was important. That was one of the scenes that was in between. So we get to the very last scene of Harmony and Chaos, in the reboot, episode 10. We come to the last scene. And in this scene, Rarity is crying. She's back at her boutique. Cream notices that Rarity has literally been upset she's been upset ever since she got back. She basically got back and went and just started crying. So Cream wants to go and console Rarity and see what's going on. So Rarity lets her in, and Rarity tells Cream that Spike broke up with her, over her kiss with Silver. And Cream, not one for keeping secrets or telling lies, decides that she's going to tell Rarity that it wasn't Spike who witnessed the kiss, between her and Silver. Cream tells Rarity the truth and says, I'm the one that told Spike about your kiss with Silver. And episode 10 ends with that bombshell, with Cream coming clean to Rarity about being the one to tell Spike about the kiss with Silver. And that's where the episode ends. I got a refill. I got to go get another drink. I will be right back. But I will come back and continue reading your comments. And then I'm going to warn you right now, if you don't want spoilers for Sonic 3, now is a good time to leave the live stream, because I do want to talk to my fans about Sonic 3, about what I thought of the movie, and I want to get their thoughts on the movie and see what they thought about it. But yes, I will be back. I got to get a refill on my drink, and we'll continue on here, guys. Give me like a minute. Oh, thanks, Philia. Yeah, I had a lot of fun kicking Sonic's ass in that movie. It was a lot of fun. What? No, there's not a bigger Shadow fangirl than me, Philia. Sorry. No. Will Atkinson says, I don't mind being spoiled about the movie. Are you sure? I mean, bro, the movie, I'm going to say this right now about Sonic 3. Sonic 3 was freaking fantastic. I was so excited and hyped to go see it. And man, that movie has everything. It lived up to all the hype. It was funny. It was funny throughout. A lot of action. I was blown away by all the action sequences, especially the fight sequences between Shadow and Sonic, especially the second fight in the movie between Sonic and Shadow. Michael, you got the wrong movie. Sonic 2 had Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and Robotnik. Sonic. I wasn't Sonic 3. You're thinking of the video game, Michael Collins. I'm talking Sonic 3, the movie. The movie, Michael, not the game. So yes, I'm going to say right now, if I'm going to have to rate Sonic 3, if you're going to go 5 stars, it's pretty darn close. I would say 4.75 stars easily. Oh my God. It was the best of all 3 movies. And I will say there is going to be a Sonic 4. There will indeed be a Sonic 4. There's going to be a 4th Sonic movie. Absolutely. But yeah, I thought the movie was action-packed. All the action sequences were fantastic. And the movie slaps. It slaps from start to finish. There's no moments where the movie kind of slows down. The movie starts and it just slaps throughout the whole movie. It doesn't stop. So we'll dive into it. We'll talk about it. So Sonic 3. Sonic 3 starts off. I'm trying to remember. Yes, it starts off with Prison Island, which ironically, Prison Island is in Tokyo, Japan. That's where they put Prison Island. And pretty much Sonic 3 picks up where Sonic 2 left off. We see Shadow breaking out. And he basically, after Shadow breaks out of his preservation chamber, he beats the shit out of like 20 guards and takes off and skates across the ocean to the main island in Japan. And then that's how the movie starts. Basically, then you go into the opening credits, the opening title. After Shadow escapes Prison Island, we go back to Green Hills, Montana, where Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are having a race. And the race winds up being a picnic. The whole point was it's happy birthday for Sonic, and birth is spelled B-E-A-R-T-H instead of birthday. I would have to say it's Sonic's probably his 1 or his 2 year anniversary. Well, Eggman was gone for almost a year when he got sent to the Mushroom Planet. So I'll assume this was Sonic's 2nd full year on Earth, I would have to say. Because remember, Eggman was gone for 10 months on the Mushroom Planet? Something like that. I don't remember per se how long he was gone. But this is Sonic's happy birthday party. And right in the middle of Sonic's birthday, Gunn comes in asking for Team Sonic. And they are explaining to Sonic what is going on in Japan. Now, what's going on in Japan is Shadow is basically on a rampage, destroying everything, blowing shit up. Yeah, he's causing a big ruckus. We'll leave it at that. So of course, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles agree to help Gunn, and they use a warp ring to open up a portal to Japan. So they fly through the portal, and that's when you get the iconic Tails or where Sonic asks Tails, well, where should we start trying to look for this guy? Yeah, I think we should start with the big fireball. He's like, yeah, good idea. Let's start with the big flaming fireball. And they jump off the plane. And like I said, this movie hits hard real quick. So he did. Yep. Before Sonic jumps off the plane, yes, Sonic does say, talk about low budget flights. I'm out of here. No movie and no food or movie. I'm out of here. So yeah, Sonic did that whole iconic line. And he jumps off the plane, and that, Knuckles and Tails follow behind. And they land right where Shadow happens to be standing. And that's when Shadow meets his acquaintance. Boy, aren't you a colorful bunch. And Knuckles has his little line where he says, this hedgehog looks much more impressive than the one I fought prior. Dude, I'm standing right here. So Sonic tells Shadow, look, we don't want to fight you. Actually, Sonic, I want to fight, says Knuckles. And then that's when Knuckles attacks Shadow. We'll say Shadow dislocates Knuckles' wrist or, twists it and does whatever he does to it and then kicks him through a building. Shadow immediately uses his chaos energy and he knocks Tails down. What is with Shadow knocking flooring Tails? I don't know why Shadow always has to floor Tails, but he does. And then he attacks Sonic. And before that, Sonic tells Knuckles, I don't think he can take all three of us at once. And then we see him take out Knuckles again. Then he takes out Tails, and then he takes out Sonic. And Sonic's like, he totally took all three of us. After this, Sonic gets back up and tries to continue the fight. Shadow hops on a motorcycle and takes off. Sonic chases him down. And then Sonic uses his, the preview line that you saw from the trailer. Who does your eyes, Shadow? The more you talk, the harder I want to hit you, is what Shadow says to him. And then Shadow does all these cool moves on the bike. He does the thing. He does the technique where he does the bike slide with the gun. I forget what it's called. I'm sure Solaria knows what that slide is called. It's a very famous slide that you do on a bike. So he does the slide, and then he goes up this ramp, and Sonic follows him up. Shadow ditches the bike. Akira slide. That's what it is. Thank you. Ophelia. Yes. Shadow does the whole Akira slide on a bike, and then Shadow goes up this ramp and goes up in the air. Now, keep in mind, he's still using his chaos powers to give the bike an extra boost. So he shoots way up in the air, and then Sonic goes up after him, and then they collide fists. You get the big boom, and then Sonic is kind of like stunned by this shockwave. Plush says, I thought it was cool that during the scene where Sonic falls and Shadow's behind him, it looked a lot like the Shadow the Hedgehog opening where the same thing happens. It did. Yeah, they used a lot from the Sonic Adventure 2 as well. They used that. They used a lot of Shadow the Hedgehog references, and they used a lot of, obviously, the movie was based off of Sonic Adventure 2 for the most part, so you get a lot of references from that game. Ophelia. So after this concludes, Shadow leaves Sonic there. Sonic reunites with Tails and Knuckles, and they decide to go have a conversation at the Chow Garden. And then, yeah, obviously the Chow Garden. They go to a Chow Garden in Japan. And they start talking. What's the name of the? I already have forgotten. What's the name of the old guy, the old general that they're having dinner with? I forget his name already. What's the name of the old guy? Commander Walters. Thank you, Plush. So they're having dinner with Commander Walters at the Chow Garden in Japan. 2 more minutes, and it's New Year's for all y'all on East Coast time. Thank you, Will. So they're having dinner at the Chow Garden with Commander Walters. And this is where Commander Walters gives the backstory of Shadow and Maria and Dr. Gerald Robotnik. And he tells Sonic, look, he has a very different backstory than you do. It's very tragic and doesn't have a happy ending. Whereas you met family and you met a family and formed a family, Shadow has nothing but pain. And for those of you who all know Shadow's backstory, you know how painful of a backstory it is. And then as they're eating, their dinner gets interrupted by these, we'll say, right around 12-year-old girls. And they come up and they said, "Are you Detective Pikachu?" They say that to Tails, and Tails is like, "No, I'm not Pikachu." And then Knuckles says, "Oh, he does kind of look like a Pokemon. Pika Pika." And I laughed my ass off. I don't know why I found that to be so funny. I laughed my ass off. It was hilarious. I'm dying in the theater. Just the way he delivers that line. "Oh, he does look like a Pokemon. Pika Pika." And as they're joking around here, we see Eggman's Eggbots, the flying eggs. We see these flying eggs come and crashing. They start crashing through the Chow Garden and start shooting the place up. And Commander Walters winds up dying. Happy New Year, Will. Happy 2025, Will. So during this attack, Commander Walters gets killed. And as these Eggbots are firing on Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, we see some dude drive in on a bike. This guy literally takes those little discs that shuts down robots. We saw it in the first Sonic movie where Eggman, it was almost like an EMP. So this guy on the bike literally destroys all of these Eggbots with these EMPs that he puts on these bots. And Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails get this. They get this key card right before Commander Walters dies. He hands Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails the key card to what would be the Eclipse Cannon. And he's like, and General Walters, with his dying words, literally tells Sonic, "I only trust you with this. Don't give this to anybody else." And Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails then go after the guy on the bike because he drives off out of the restaurant. So they go after him. They eventually catch up to him, and it winds up being the guy on the bike that saved Sonic, that wound up saving Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, wound up being Agent Stone. Lo and behold, it was Agent Stone. I'm trying to remember the dialogue between these guys, but I'm trying to remember the exact dialogue here. I'm sure you guys can help fill me in. But Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails and basically they're shocked to see Agent Stone in Japan. And they're like, "Agent Stone? Like, why would you destroy the Eggbots? Like, why?" Or something like that. I forgot how it goes. And they go, "Well, what are you doing here?" And they start talking, and somehow it comes back to Eggman still being alive, and that Eggman was closer to them than they realized. So Sonic, oh, actually, I remember what happened, because Sonic's like, well, Eggman just tried to kill us back there. And Agent Stone said, no, the doctor had nothing to do with that attack. It was somebody else who's using the doctor's technology who attacked you at the Chow Garden. Plush says that Agent Stone is the best Sonic character, right next to Wade Whipple. Wade is he's just a nut. So Agent Stone summons we'll call it the egg crab, or the crab egg. It's this giant egg looking thing that also looks like a crab that's in the middle of the Japanese harbor. So Agent Stone activates it, and here comes this big giant crab out of this river or ocean or whatever. Oh, it's the goat milker. Yeah, right. Yes, Knuckles. Knuckles is quoted to say, it's the goat milker. And then Agent Stone said something back at him. I forgot what he said. But they had some banter. The goat milker. Oh, man. So they wind up going on Eggman's crab. Crab bot. Giant crab. King crab, whatever you want to call it. And Eggman is watching a Mexican soap opera, which was just freaking hilarious. It was, not to mention that Eggman's got his big ass beer belly, big old fat belly hanging out. And he's making microwave burritos inside of one of his egg bots. And then he puts all these condiments on it, and he's watching this really corny ass Mexican soap opera, which I just thought was hilarious. And he's really getting into watching the soap opera, like, no, you're not good enough for her, and all that other stuff, and whatever. He was just getting into it, and it was just funny. It was Jim Carrey funny. So then Stone brings in Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles into the bot. Telenovelas, that's what they're called. Thank you, Felia. Telenovelas, thank you. Yes, you should be disappointed. Yeah. Yes, television novels. Okay, soap operas. It's another word, fancy word for soap opera. Television novels. So, Eggman, of course, when he sees Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails, he screams like, "Gah! Why did you bring my enemies here, Stone? Like, really? I haven't been through enough. You got to bring my enemies here?" And Knuckles says, "This is sad, even for you, Robotnik." Just listen. He said that looking at Robotnik's appearance. Sonic, this is where Agent Stone tells Eggman that, look, somebody is using your tech to attack Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and they attack Gun. So somebody is ripping off and stealing your bots. During this conversation, Sonic mentions the fight with Shadow and that they need Eggman's help. And Eggman says, well, if I'm going to help you on one condition. And Sonic's like, really, dude? Pulls out a quill, and I guess Eggman needed a jolt of energy from Sonic's quill. So he gets the jolt of energy, changes into clothes, or tries to change into clothes that fit him. And then he agrees to help Sonic and the Team Sonic. He winds up helping them. They wound up tracing. I think somehow they found out. They somehow were able to trace the bots back to the compound where Shadow where Gerald Robotnik was studying Shadow and Maria, where all three of them were staying. They somehow were able to track the signal back to that place. So they show up and they use a warp ring to show up to the compound where Project Shadow was taking place. They start doing their walkthrough to try to find any remnants of Shadow or whatever they can find in regards to Shadow. As they're walking through, I kind of like this scene because I feel like we see a different side of Stone here. They decided that they're going to break off into groups. Knuckles, for some reason, gets stuck by himself. I don't know why, but he does. I think it's a trust issue. So Sonic decides that he's going to team up with Eggman and they're going to go through the other direction. But because I think it's a trust issue, in my opinion, I think obviously Sonic doesn't trust Eggman, so decides to go with him. And that leaves Tails and Agent Stone to go down the other corridor. I like this scene because I really like the depth that we get from Agent Stone here. Him and Tails are just talking, and Stone asks Tails, like, so what's it like how does it feel being Sonic's sidekick? What's it like? He's like, it looks like it would be pretty cool. And Tails tells Stone, I'm not really a sidekick. He's like, we're family. He's like, we're pretty much a family. We all do our part. He's like, Sonic is the speed guy, Knuckles is the muscle guy, and I'm the tech guy. I'm the technology guy. He's like, well, what about you and Eggman? And like, what's your relationship like? He's like, does he treat you good? Are you guys like friends? And I forget what Stone tells him, but he's like, it's nothing like you and Tails have. He's like, it's nothing that you and Sonic have. So I thought that was just kind of a cool moment that Tails and Stone kind of had this whole sidekick discussion. I thought it was cool to see Stone kind of befriend Tails a little bit. And we go back to Knuckles. And Knuckles is exploring his corridor by himself. He hears something moving around. And he doesn't see who it is, but from behind, we see Shadow come down from behind, and he knocks Knuckles out. Make a long story short, he attacks Knuckles and knocks him out. LOL, plush. Bro gets high off of Sonic's quill talking about Eggman. Oh, man. So, Knuckles is the first to bite the bullet. And then we go to Tails and Stone. They get knocked out by Shadow. And then it just leaves Sonic and Eggman. Sonic and Eggman are also having a little bit of a conversation where Eggman shares with Sonic like why he's evil. Like he never had a family. He grew up an orphan. That he never really had a real family. And in this moment, Sonic is kind of like, oh, that's really sad. And they kind of like start having a conversation. And then Sonic happens to look into the other room and he's like, what is that? So Sonic goes into the other room and he leaves Eggman by himself. And so Eggman starts talking to himself and he's like, oh, well, so much for my vent fest. And as I bare my soul. So Sonic finds the glass that Shadow was locked in. He finds the picture. He winds up finding a picture of Shadow and Maria together watching a movie. And he glances at the picture and he sees that Shadow deep down is not a bad guy. because he's hanging out with Maria. So Sonic says to himself, man, something horrible must have happened here. And he puts his hand on the glass where Shadow was locked, or where Shadow did his resting or whatever. And then we see Shadow's reflection show up in that glass, and he takes Sonic's head and he smashes it up against this glass window and winds up knocking Sonic out next. During this moment, Eggman and Shadow come face to face. And then Gerald Robotnik shows up. Shadow immediately recognizes Gerald Robotnik, obviously, from their days being together from 50 years prior. They agree that somewhere in this scene, Eggman and Robotnik bond. They do all the geek stuff. Obviously, Eggman puts Gerald through all the genius questions, and Gerald winds up telling Eggman that he is his grandfather, his grandpappy. So obviously they bond, and now they're going to work together. So when Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails wake up, they are tied to this. They're legitimately chained to the preservation chamber that Shadow would sleep in. So they're chained to it, and this is the moment where we get Sonic says, "Oh my God, there are 2 Eggmen! Double your fun, double your evil." And this is where we see Shadow open up this little marble. It's this little marble-looking thing. And what this marble does, double your villains, double your fun. That's what he said. So this little marble thing then opens up to a black hole. It turns into this little tiny black hole that's going to devour the compound. So Shadow, Eggman, and Robotnik, Gerald Robotnik, they leave. They get the hell out of there, and they leave Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails pretty much for dead. And they take Stone with them. Yeah, Stone goes with them. And we see Knuckles save the day. Knuckles is able to, he bites onto this chain that they're tied to, and they hold on until Sonic can take a warp ring, and he throws it at this black hole. So then the warp ring opens up over the black hole. Knuckles lets the chain go, and they all go sailing into the warp portal. And they wind up going back to Green Hills, and they wind up going to Tom and Maddie, who are bored out of their mind at this point because Sonic and them have gone to Japan, and they kind of have the house to themselves. So Tom and Maddie are super bored, and Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails use another warp ring, and they show up at the house. And they obviously, Sonic and Knuckles and Tails are in some sort of distress and that they're in trouble. And then Sonic explains to them what's going on. And they try to divulge a plan to get into the gun compound, because somehow they come to find out that the gun compound is where where the Eclipse cannon is that they need to get to. Ace Plush says Tom's puppet joke was kind of funny. It was. I agree. I think Stone is gay for Robotnik, but I don't think Robotnik is gay anyway. I don't think he is. So Tom and Maddie are like, yes, we finally get to go on an adventure. Yes, let's go. So they use another warp ring, and they they go to London. Their travels lead them to London, because that's where the Space Colony Arc / the Eclipse Cannon is. It's in London. Actually, I missed a part. Like during that scene, like where Robotnik, where Gerald Robotnik and Eggman kind of come together before the black hole, they kind of tell Sonic about the Eclipse Cannon and all that other stuff, and Sonic overhears it. That's how they figured out where to go. So we go to London, and Agent Stone was already kind of feeling left out because Gerald Robotnik and Eggman kind of had their bonding. They did like 20 years of bonding in like 10 minutes. It was like virtual reality of some kind. So they did like a lifetime of bonding in like 20 minutes. So Stone's feeling really left out, obviously, because Eggman's kind of ignoring him because now he's got his grandpappy. So he's really neglecting Stone here. The Team Sonic, the next time we see Team Sonic, they're in London. And they've divulged this plan to get the other key card, because there are 2 key cards to prevent the Eclipse Cannon from being used. So Team Sonic and obviously Eggman, Team Eggman, are after these keys to launch the Eclipse Cannon. So, or to get the Eclipse Cannon to work, because it needs 2 keys. So Team Sonic has 1, and the other key is in Gun, at the Gun headquarters. So both teams wind up showing up at Gun headquarters. I don't know why, but like Eggman and Gerald Robotnik here, during this scene, I got Gru and Drew vibes. I got mad Despicable Me vibes between Gru and Drew. I don't know why. I got Gru and Drew moment. Maybe it's because what they were wearing, because yes, it reminded me so much of Gru and Drew, because you had Gerald wearing the white suit and Robotnik was wearing like this reddish black suit. And it was just really funny, and it reminded me of Despicable Me 4. I think it was 4, 3 or 4, one of them. Like, it's whatever movie that the guy who chews the bubble gum that they're going after, I think. But yeah, this scene reminds me so much of that from Despicable Me. I got that kind of vibe. So I kind of chuckled at it. So they break into Gun. Team Sonic's plan is that Tom and Maddie are going to break into Gun. Tails gives Tom and Maddie these little, I will call it like a little lapel. It's like a lapel clip that clips onto your collar or your shirt. And the thing about it is it essentially turns Tom and Maddie into shapeshifters. You can turn yourself into any person you want and shapeshift. So essentially, Tom and Maddie, thanks to Tails' gadgets, become shapeshifters. So it's so funny. Tom turns into Russell. Is that his name? Nah. He turns into they basically turn into Rachel and her husband. It's not Russell, is it? Randall. So Tom turns into Randall, and Randall. Yeah, so Tom turns into Randall, and Maddie turns into Rachel. So they go into Gun headquarters, and of course, Maddie has to go full out Rachel and say, look, you better let me in here, because if you don't, there's going to be some hell. I'm going to raise some hell. Oh, yeah. So lo and behold, somehow Maddie gets them to agree to let them, okay, you guys got credentials. Okay, yeah, go on. We're on lockdown because of Shadow. So yeah, they weren't supposed to get in because they were on lockdown because of Shadow. Shadow had gone on lockdown. So we continue on with the scene, and Maddie's like, once they get past the security desk, Maddie turns back into herself, and Tom turns back to himself, and Maddie goes, "I kind of like being Rachel. Yeah, that's kind of cool being Rachel." So the plan here is that Tom and Maddie are going to break in to Gunn, to cause a little bit of a distraction, to allow. So their whole thing is that they got to shut down the security system, because when Tails and when they were concocting this plan, there's all kinds of booby traps inside of Gun headquarters that, and I think Sonic at one point even says, "Is there any plan that involves me not getting cut to pieces by lasers?" And Tails is like, "Yeah, once we shut down the security systems." So Tom and Maddie, they break in, they find the security room, and they turn this key that shuts down the security, or attempts to shut down the security, and they find out that they can't hack into the system, because once they turn the key, Tails should be able to hack into the system to shut down the security, and they can't, because Eggman, if you look a little further down the line, and they find a second key in there, and it's Robotnik's key, and Tom and Maddie now realize they hey, somebody else has a key in here. So Tails tells Tom to remove the security card, and I don't remember if it was Tom or Maddie. I think it was Tom that says, no, you got to blow on it. So like the old school 1990s games where you got to blow into the cartridge to get it to work. Tom blows on the cartridge, and then Tails was able to hack. It was just, I chuckled. I'm the only person in the theater that laughed at this, because I got the reference of having to blow into the game to get it to work. Those old 1990s cartridges. So I got the reference, and lo and behold, now Tails can break in and hack into Gun, which he does. So somehow, some way, once he hacks into Gun, it lowers the force field to allow Sonic to get launched into, it allows Sonic to walk into Gun without getting vaporized by the force field that surrounds Gun headquarters. Jesus. Shut up, Felia. Yeah, I'm glad you got the reference, Plush, but I seriously was the only one who laughed at that part, because I remember the struggle of having to blow into those cartridges to get them to work. So I chuckled. I thought it was funny. So we'll skip the dramatics. Sonic is being Sonic and just being dumb. And then he's got to get thrown by Tails into the shrink. I think even maybe Eggman rehacks Tails. I don't know if it's Gun or Eggman. I forget. Regardless, Tails gets rehacked. And now, like, the force field is starting to come back up. So Sonic barely makes it through. And now he's into Gun headquarters. And poor Knuckles is just sitting on top of the Big Ben clock. Like, when do I get to punch the glass? And both everybody, Tom, Maddie, Sonic, and Tails, have all told Knuckles, you only hit the glass if we need you to. And Knuckles is like, oh, I'm just going to sit up here and wait to punch the glass. I just want to punch this glass. And Well, because it's one of those break glass in case of emergencies. That's what Knuckles is. He is the break glass in case of emergency. And of course, you guys know there's going to come in a moment during this scene where there's going to be a must break glass moment. So now Sonic is inside of Gun headquarters, and he catches up to Eggman and Gerald. And they're trying to like navigate their way through this laser field. But the thing is, it's like, remember how I said Eggman and Robotnik are wearing these weird suits? Well, as it would turn out, these suits are laser repellent suits. So they're repelling all the lasers that will cut you to pieces if you get hit by one of them. So it's kind of a cool moment. Before Sonic shows up, Eggman and Gerald have this really sus fucking dance moment. And I'm pretty sure Gru and Drew did the same kind of dance in Despicable Me 4. I don't know why they referenced, but this whole scene was a Drew and Gru reenactment, and it's just fucking hilarious. And it got really sus because Eggman winds up picking up Gerald, and he does the whole pretzel wrap around his body, and they're swinging each other, and I'm just like, ew, this is just gross. But in any case, I still laughed and thought it was funny. And then Sonic kind of like breaks up this moment. And somewhere along the lines, Gun shows up and they hit the security system. They turn off the lasers, and then the floor starts turning different colors. So like green, I think green, you fly up, and then red, you get stuck to the floor. So these colors are constantly changing. Sonic winds up stepping on a green box, so he's floating in the air. Meanwhile, Eggman and Gerald they're literally eating dirt. They're not eating dirt, but they're literally face down on the ground, trying to like get up, and they can't move. Meanwhile, then they start fighting after the 2 keys, the gravity floor. Yes, thank you. So somehow these 2 keys, that one agent, that lady agent, I forget her name already, but she has one of the key cards. And then Eggman, I think, because Sonic wound up losing his key card or something. I forgot how it happened. But she has one of the key cards, the agent. And then Eggman and Robotnik lose their key card because it's like stuck to the floor. So we see Jim Carrey, Eggman, trying to do like this worm crawl with his arms pinned to his side. He's trying to like worm crawl his way to this key. And it's just fucking hilarious. Sonic then tells Knuckles, break the glass. He's like, it's time to break the glass, break the glass. So the security system's all jazzed up. And then this is where Knuckles puts his fists into the clock and pushes off the clock and like breaks the glass. And Knuckles fucking punches his way through the laser beam force field and crashes through the glass. The flames of disaster, yes. And he fucking goes through the glass and saves everybody. Tom and Maddie get one of the, I think Shadow grabs, I forget who grabs the one key, but I know the other agent has the other key. But I think somehow Eggman winds up getting the one key off the floor. And meanwhile, Tom goes and chases down the female agent who's got the other key. So Eggman and Robotnik have one key now, and now Tom goes after the lady. Remember, he's got that little morphing thing. So he changes into Commander Walters and convinces the female agent to give him the key. So now Eggman and Robotnik have one key, and now Tom has the other one. Now Tom has a key. But keep in mind, Tom he's shapeshifted into Commander Walters, who has history with Shadow from the backstory. So, of course, Shadow comes barreling down the hallway with the key, and then he finds Tom, who has the other key. So Eggman and Robotnik have one key, and Tom has the other. So Tom is trying to get Team Sonic together so they can go after Robotnik and get the other key. And so Shadow comes face to face with Tom first. Now, keep in mind, Tom is shapeshifted into Commander Walters, or General Walters, Commander Walters. Shadow immediately gets triggered by this, and Commander Walters, Tom's like, no, wait. And Shadow hits Tom about as hard as you can hit another human being. Tom goes flying across the room. He gets yeeted across the room and slides across the floor and is knocked unconscious. And then Tom shapeshifts back to his normal form. And Shadow at first is kind of taken aback. Like, whoa, that wasn't Commander Walters. And then we see Sonic show up, and he sees Tom lying unconscious on the ground. At this point, Shadow already has the other key. So now Shadow has one key, and Robotnik and Eggman have the other one to control the Eclipse Cannon. They launch. Now, during this time, Eggman and Robotnik have began the sequence to launch what I guess I'll call it the Space Colony Arc, but whatever this thing is, the Eclipse Cannon, whatever you want to call it, they start the sequence to get this thing to start to launch. Sonic rushes past Shadow to go be with Tom, and then Sonic's like, what did you do? Shadow has a flashback, seeing Sonic mourning over Tom, like trying to shake him awake. And then Shadow, this is when he tells Sonic, I did what I had to do. And then Shadow disappears and joins Eggman and Robotnik. The floor, it's so weird because now this floor turns into, they wind up getting on this floor turns into the Eclipse Cannon, and they wind up launching the Eclipse Cannon into outer space. Meanwhile, Team Sonic is just worried about Tom at this point because they think he's dead. He's unconscious. They don't know if he's going to live or die. And as this is going on, the Eclipse Cannon launches itself into outer space. So you have Agent Stone. No, Agent Stone stays on Earth. They left Stone behind. So you literally have Robotnik, Gerald Robotnik, Eggman, and Shadow on the Eclipse Cannon as it pushes into outer space. We go into this next scene. It's outside of Gun headquarters, and Tom is being rushed to the hospital. Maddie tells Team Sonic, go and save the Earth. I will stay with Tom. You guys go and do what you have to do. Stop Eggman from destroying Earth. Do what you have to do. So Maddie goes with Tom, and now Sonic is pissed. Sonic is pissed and wants revenge. And he demands that Knuckles tells him where the Master Emerald is. Because Sonic feels in this moment that the only way that they're going to stop Shadow and the Eggmen, the only way that they're going to stop the Robotniks and Shadow is with the Chaos Emeralds. And Knuckles says, we took an oath. I can never tell you where I hid the emeralds. We took an oath. And Sonic says, I don't give a damn about your oath. Basically, I need these emeralds so I can save them. This is for Tom. Look what he did to Tom. And he tells Knuckles, this is the only way we can beat him. And Knuckles said something about, even if I told you, you have to get through my warrior. And Sonic immediately knows who he's talking about. It's Wade. So, the fearsome warrior in the galaxy. Yep, that's pretty much what Knuckles tells him. So Sonic immediately knows that it's Wade. He uses a warp ring to show up at Wade's. And Wade is sitting on the roof and he's playing hockey with the Master Emerald. And Sonic shows up and he tells Wade, give me the Master Emerald. And Wade literally says, I can't, Sonic. I promised that I will defend this with my life. And Sonic literally just uses his speed and takes it from him and then turns super. And then Wade goes, well, I tried. Literally, Sonic just snatches it from Wade. And Wade's like, well, I tried. Sonic turns super and goes flying into outer space. He goes flying into outer space to go after Shadow. And to go after the Eclipse Cannon. Sonic is able, now keep in mind, at this point, Eggman and Robotnik have already started using Shadow to power up the Eclipse Cannon. Shadow is running around and using his chaos powers to power up the Eclipse Cannon. And once it has enough power, it takes 10 minutes for that power to convert into what is going to blow up the Earth. Now, the funny thing here is that this is when Gerald Robotnik turns on Eggman. Because Eggman doesn't want to blow up the Earth. Eggman wants to rule the Earth. So during this scene, Gerald says, yes, we're going. And Eggman asked his grandfather, well, what's he doing? Why is he powering up the cannon like that? And Gerald said, because he's going to blow up the Earth and we're going to die with him. And Eggman's like, no. Why would we blow up the Earth when we could rule the Earth? Like, why would we do that? And Gerald said, because those people, he basically goes into full Shadow mode. Those people are scum of the Earth. They took everything from me and they have no reason to live anymore. It's like, and I lost my family when Maria died. So I have nothing to live for. Sorry. Is basically what Gerald says. And lo and behold, this is where Sonic comes crashing through the Eclipse Cannon as superpowers. He literally flies straight through the windshield and tackles Shadow. Fucking just bore straight through the window, just fucking nail Shadow. They go flying out the other end of the Eclipse Cannon / Space Colony Arc, and they just start fighting and they crash down to Earth. And at some point, Shadow, and once they crash down to the Earth, Shadow punches Sonic and it knocks the emeralds out of Sonic. And then they both both wind up absorbing the Chaos Emeralds. And now both Sonic and Shadow are in their super forms. And they are beating the shit out of each other. Just from outer space, you could literally see these gold streaks going across the Earth. And that's Shadow and Sonic fighting. Like Shadow and Sonic, they're just punching each other through mountains. They're punching each other through volcanoes. Through buildings, and then the fight finally comes to a little bit of a halt. Shadow he got the better of Sonic during this moment. He punched Sonic to the ground. Sonic goes crashing through some sort of like island, ancient ruins, some kind of like, there was some sort of ruins on this island that they were on. So Sonic goes crashing through and hits the ground really hard. And then this is one of my favorite parts of the movie that I completely was like, holy shit. So they stop fighting, and Shadow begins to gloat about how he beat up Tom. He mentions Tom by name, I think Shadow starts to accuse Sonic like, you were a fool to leave your friends behind. You know, the way you just ditched your friends to come after me so selfishly. He's like, and then he mentions Tom. And this pisses Sonic off. Sonic goes fucking full force at Shadow, just decks him. So Shadow goes flying off of the surface of the earth, literally from the ground, goes flying off the earth and crashes into the moon. He literally crashes into the moon. And Sonic then has the upper hand here on Shadow. He continues to pummel Shadow until the point where Shadow is no longer in his super form, and Sonic is sitting there over Shadow, grabbing him by his chest fluff, and is going to deliver the death blow. And Shadow literally tells Sonic, go ahead, hit me right here. And if you guys remember from the trailer, Tom and Sonic had that moment where Tom said, there's going to come a moment where you're going to deal from right here, from your heart. You know, you fight with your heart. Soon as Shadow said that, Sonic hesitates and he lets Shadow go. And then he drops his fist and almost breaks down like into tears, essentially. And he looks, and then he comes out of the super form and he goes back to his normal base form. And he's like, and as he's hovering over Shadow goes, why wouldn't you claim victory? And Sonic's like, this is not who I am. I'm not a killer. And Sonic gets off of Shadow and he just sits on the moon. And both him and Shadow are having a moment where they just start talking. And then somehow Shadow is convinced that the Earth is worth saving. Sonic convinces him to save the Earth. Like, you have a choice to make. You don't have to do this. You do have a choice, Shadow. He's like, I saw you. He's like, back at the compound. I saw that picture with you and Maria. He's like, it sucks that you lost her. Yes, it was a lot of pain. He's like, the same pain that I feel right now for Tom. He's like, I understand that pain that you feel. He's like, but you don't have to be bad. You don't have to let it end this way. He's like, think about it. Do you really think, Maria, this is what you would want? Maria, he's like, do you really think this is what Maria wanted you to do? And then that's how Shadow is convinced to save the Earth versus blow it up. So now Sonic and Shadow go back into their super forms, and now they're teaming up to try to save the Earth. Now, during all of this is going on, during the whole Sonic and Shadow fight, Eggman is also fighting Gerald Robotnik. And we do get Live and Learn. We do get the Live and Learn song, the original Live and Learn. Not a reboot, not a remake, the original Live and Learn song. Awesome. Thanks for that call out, Solar/Felia. So now they are fighting to try to save the Earth from the Eclipse Cannon. During the fight between Eggman and Robotnik, somehow Eggman wins the fight. And now and then Tails and Knuckles are now in outer space and are trying to help Sonic with this Eclipse Cannon. During the battle between the two Eggmen, Gerald had gloated that there was no way that Eggman was going to survive the explosion because the ship was rigged to blow up as well. So the Eclipse Cannon timer is now down to like the final minute, like the last possible minute. And Eggman is trying to like save the Earth from getting hit by this death beam. So Tails and Knuckles eventually show up, and they're going to wind up helping Eggman in the end here. So the Eclipse Cannon launches the laser beam towards the Earth, and then it's up to Shadow and Sonic to stop it. So both Shadow and Sonic in their super forms get in front of the death beam that's going to blow the Earth up, and they stop it. They're able to hold it off and stop it from hitting the Earth. But this beam is so powerful that it is pushing Shadow and Sonic back. So they're not going to be able to hold on to the beam forever. So this is where Knuckles and Tails help Robotnik. They help Eggman. And like it takes all three of them, but then they start to turn they start to turn the Eclipse Cannon away from the Earth. And just as Shadow and Sonic can no longer hold it, they turn the Eclipse Cannon away. Just that they were able to get it to point away from the Earth. So from the Earth, you literally see the death beam go right over the atmosphere, and it winds up hitting the moon. So technically, Eggman, Knuckles, and Tails all pissed on the moon and blow it up, at least the bottom portion of it, which is really, really cool when you see it later on. Yeah, Gerald did die in the funniest way. Bro gets zapped. He did get zapped in the ass by the supersonic quill and got vaporized. You're right. Oh my God. Yeah, that was pretty bad. So we get this iconic scene of Sonic. You know, if you guys remember the fight between Sonic, actually, it wasn't only just the fight between Sonic and Dark Oak, but the fight between Sonic. But when the Sonic Adventure 2, where Shadow knocks Sonic out and he falls to the Earth, we get that iconic moment of watching Sonic kind of like collapsing down to Earth. Shadow goes back onto the Space Colony Ark to try to save Eggman. But as Sonic is falling to the Earth, Knuckles and Tails go after him, and they try to like catch up to him, and they use like a warp ring to get themselves to a safe area. In the meantime, Shadow tries to prevent the ship from blowing up, but the ship blows up, but not before Eggman says his goodbyes, because he had a really big announcement to make. The Bio-Lizard got left out of the conversation. I don't know, was the Bio-Lizard even in the movie? Oh, I don't remember. Like, yeah, but when was he used? It didn't look like Bio-Lizard was controlling the ship. Anyway, but regardless, like the ship winds up getting blown up. Before it blows up, Eggman was able to give a big announcement, and he calls out Agent Stone, and he basically apologizes to Stone and says, "Stone, you're the best friend I could have ever asked for." And he basically shares how he feels about Stone, about how he was a true friend, the only true friend he ever had, and basically says, "I'm sorry," in his own little way. I don't remember. Why didn't I see anyway? I don't remember. Why did I not see the Bio-Lizard on the fucking in the movie? I don't remember seeing it. I don't know how I missed that. But if you say the Bio-Lizard was in it, I guess I'll have to catch it the second time I watch it. But I just thought that the colony was going to crash into the Earth anyway, because it was set to do that. But in any case, they wind up dying. Eggman winds up dying. A Shadow is on the ship as well. But so after the ship blows up, you see the ship blow up from the Earth. And it is assumed that Eggman is dead. I'm going to say I think Eggman is dead. I really do think Eggman is dead because I think at the end of the movie, you see Agent Stone kind of accept Eggman's death. And I don't think Jim Carrey wants to make any more movies. So I legitimately think they killed Eggman off in this one, which is sad because I'm gonna miss Jim Carrey in those movies. So yeah, so movie goes into the final scene, and we're once again back to doing the race with Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. So they're kind of rehashing Sonic's birthday, and Tom is okay. He's made a recovery. He's got his arm in a sling. So they start their race, and at some point, Sonic has outrun Knuckles and Tails to the point where he winds up in New York, at a forest in New York. Now, I'm going to say this right now. This forest that Sonic winds up in New York looks very, very familiar to the forest he was in Sonic, in the first Sonic movie when he showed up on Earth. I don't know why, but there's that one little stretch of running spot where it looks exactly like that same area where Sonic was trying to run back toward Longclaw to get back through the ring to help Longclaw. I'm not sure if I'm reading too much into it. Did anybody else notice that? To me, it looked like the same forest where Sonic landed, where Sonic came through the portal on Earth. So the movie ends kind of like there. And then we get Sonic is kind of like, man, I outran everybody. Where the hell am I? New York? Ooh, wow. I really ran past the finish line. And then we get Metal Sonic. Metal Sonic, we see land behind Sonic, and he points his gun at his cannon at Sonic. We don't see what happens. We just see kaboom. And I think Sonic lands next to him and he just obliterates him, whatever. And then we go into the end credits. And as Sonic is kind of like doing this thing, we start to see, I would say, about 50 Metal Sonics appear. All of their eyes appear and surround Sonic. And Sonic's like, oh, I'm in big trouble. And the last thing you see is Amy. You just see this hammer smash one of the Metal Sonics, and it's Amy. So Amy literally saves Sonic at the end of the credits scene. So pretty cool how that movie ended. I thought it was awesome. And very last thing you see after you see Amy show up, we go, I don't know where this is, if this is on the moon, if this is on an island, if this is on Earth. I don't know where this is, but in a little crater, you see Shadow's inhibitor ring, the little wrist inhibitor. The very last thing you see is you see a hand pick up the ring inhibitor, and then you see Shadow's boot. So Shadow survived the explosion. Now the question is did Eggman also survive? I don't know. So the last thing you see is Shadow picking up his inhibitor ring, and that's the end. Awesome. So, yeah. So my big question for you guys is, I wonder what the significance of that forest in New York was. Was that the place where Sonic arrived on Earth? Because it sure as hell looked like the same forest to me. That little stretch of runway looked very familiar. I don't know if it's a coincidence. I don't know if that's the truth, but there's some sort of symbolism to that. And I think we're going to get our answers to that in the fourth movie. But yes. Anyway, guys, overall, I thought the Sonic movie was great. We are 2 minutes away from New Year's here. I am going to say Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you for joining me on what has been the longest Kingdom live stream ever. I'm going to go ahead, go outside and enjoy the fireworks and the New Year's here in Pekin. So again, guys, happy 2025. I will see you guys for the next live stream. Or the next episode, whichever one gets done. Happy New Year, guys. I will see you guys soon. 1 more minute till New Year's for me. Gotta go. Love y'all.